Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sophie Erber. Millions of Americans receiving Social Security will see a boost in their benefits for 2022. We have the details now in our top story at 5. It is the biggest cost of living adjustment in 39 years following a burst in inflation as benefits rise by nearly 6%, amounting to an added $92 a month for the average retired worker. The increase affects household budgets for roughly 1 in 5 Americans, nearly 70 million people. Policymakers say it's a safeguard to protect benefits against a loss of purchasing power and not a pay raise for retirees. Meanwhile, Democrats have just weeks now to try and slim down their massive $3.5 trillion spending package. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says cuts are unavoidable, but one group of Democrats argue housing funds cannot be on their chopping block. DC's Raquel Martin breaks it down.
This is our once-in-a-generation opportunity.
A group of House Democrats are demanding the president's Build Back Better plan include billions to bolster affordable housing across the country.
From New York to West Virginia to Arizona to California, people are hurting. Housing prices continue to rise.
California Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Missouri Congressman EMANUEL CLEAVER say the pandemic made the housing crisis worse for millions already struggling to make rent.
Housing is a problem.
The push comes as Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi promises to cut the cost of the $3.5 trillion package to win support from moderate Democrats.
We have to make some difficult decisions, of course.
The original plan contains more than $300 billion for housing programs, including $90 billion for rental assistance over the course of 10 years. Right now, Pelosi says she's considering shortening the length of some programs to avoid deeper cuts.
I like the idea.
Democrats have until the end of the month to shave billions off their plan in a way that every Democrat in the House and Senate supports. Cleaver says he hopes the nation's top Democrat, President Joe Biden, won't give up on housing funding.
He didn't grow up in a mansion, so he understands the issue. And I know that directly from him, not one of his staffers.
So far, the White House has not publicly weighed in on potential cuts. In Washington, Raquel Martin, KCAU 9 News.
And here in Siouxland, a Spirit Lake man has once again been found guilty of murder, now in a second trial. That's for the death of a Cleghorn man. 71-year-old Greg Winterfeld was convicted of killing 58-year-old Grant Wilson at a home in rural Ireton. Investigators say Winterfeld shot the younger man during an argument. A jury previously found Winterfeld guilty in April, but a judge ordered a new trial after determining an error was made during their jury selection. Winterfeld faces up to 50 years in prison when he is sentenced at a later date. And one person was hospitalized following a two-vehicle crash in Norfolk this morning. That ended with a van crashing into parked trailers. The crash happened before 9 in the morning at East Norfolk Avenue and Hickory Street. Norfolk police say a van crashed into the side of a car that was making a turn, flipping the car onto its side. The van drove on and struck a row of trailers. Both vehicles tonight considered totaled. The parked trailer sustained about $7,000 in damages. The van driver was taken to a hospital for treatment of injuries, and police say the car driver has been cited now for failure to yield. Well, fertilizer prices are rising at an unprecedented rate tonight, leaving farmers wondering where this increase is coming from. Mark Deegan from Borchers Ag Supply told KCAU 9 that wholesalers are asking $540 a ton for fertilizer. That's a dramatic change from last fall's numbers of $190 a ton. Fertilizer costs are hitting unforeseen levels, and they say it's thanks to a variety of factors that have shortened the inventory of nitrogen, phosphate, and other necessary fuels. Well, today was the first day of absentee voting for Iowans. The state's new election laws shortened the time frames for people to request and also complete their absentee ballots. Orange County Auditor Ryan Docker says that less time not only affects voters, but also affects the county.
These elections are typically more of a low turnout kind of election, but come next year with the governor race and 2 years from then, the presidential race, it does pose some challenges to get all the work done in a compacted amount of time.
In-person absentee voting is available right now at the Sioux County Courthouse, and we have more information posted on our website. That's, of course, SiouxlandProud.com. Tolerance Week is teaming up with the Sioux City Railroad Museum to extend their impact year-round now. The Railroad Museum is home to a 1940s-era rail car that will be made into a replica of cattle cars that were used to originally transport Jews during the Holocaust as a tool to teach area students about how the atrocities occurred during World War II. Organizers from Tolerance Week say it will be a memorable and visual lesson.
It's all a lesson. And it's a very, very important lesson. One survivor was quoted as saying when he was doing a presentation, he said, the most important thing is that it happened, therefore it can happen again.
They say they plan to have the car completed in fall of next year, but they will still use it in their programming this upcoming spring. Diamond Vogel held a groundbreaking ceremony for their brand new innovation center today. The $15 million facility will add about 36,000 square feet of laboratory and office space. This facility allows more people to collaborate. The project is expected to be complete by the end of next year. You could tune in right here tonight at 6 if you'd like to hear from a Diamond Vogel employee on what exactly this new facility means to them. And as we can see from all of our footage today, we've had a beautiful day in the weather department, but a windy one, Scott, after that rain blew across Siouxland.
Yeah, a windy and wet start to our day out there, Sophie. It was the first time that we've had measurable rain in Sioux City since the first day of October, so it's been quite a while, almost 2 weeks. Checking out those rainfall totals from around the area, right around a ½ inch of precipitation fell. 55/100ths in Spencer, 48/100ths in Wayne, and just over 4/10ths of an inch of precipitation in Sioux City and Yankton. This afternoon, we saw bright sunny skies. Temperatures a little cool, but comfortable enough in the 60s for most. 72 was the high temperature today in Carroll and Audubon. It looks like we'll cool off more so through the coming days with some chances for frost. More information in the 9 on 9 forecast. Sophie?
All right, thanks, Scott. While Pfizer's booster vaccine was already approved for emergency use, this week the FDA is going to decide whether or not Moderna and Johnson & Johnson's booster shots will become the same. And according to the FDA, they're not only going to review Moderna and J&J's boosters, but also review data on mixing and matching those doses, because right now, only those who receive the Pfizer vaccine can get a booster. However, doctors believe that could soon change. This after the FDA's advisory panel meets sometime later this week.
It still needs to go through the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee, and then they will leave the final recommendations. So I am hopeful that at least 3 to 4 days after the FDA meets, we will have more guidance from the CDC.
Moderna, like Pfizer, wants to offer boosters about 6 months after primary vaccination date, but J&J proposed a range of times, anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Well, aspirin is no longer advised to be taken to prevent heart attacks. That is according to an influential health guideline group that says bleeding risks outweigh potential prevention benefits.
The recommendation that many folks knew for decades now was that take a daily aspirin and it could prevent a heart attack or stroke. What the U.S. Preventative Task Force has done is change those recommendations.
An influential independent panel of medical experts now saying the risks of a daily low dose of the drug, known as baby aspirin, outweigh the benefits for some, with studies raising concerns about an increased risk of bleeding, a danger that rises with age. This Cedars-Sinai cardiologist says that can include bleeding in the GI system or worse.
The more kind of catastrophic risk is a bleed in the brain. You have an elderly person taking a baby aspirin, they could fall, hit their head, and that could lead to a bleed in the brain and could be potentially life-threatening.
The new recommendations apply to people younger than 60 with a high risk of heart disease. Experts say consult your doctor before starting a daily aspirin regimen. The guidelines also discourage anyone 60 and older from starting an aspirin regimen. They do not apply to those already taking aspirin who've had a heart attack in the past.
If you're a high-risk patient who's had a heart attack before, you probably still will need to continue on an aspirin.
Joe Loft from Reseda says he's taken regular baby aspirin before. You'd heard in the past that that was good to prevent heart attacks.
Yes, I have. Yes, many times.
He tells me now, given the new developments, he would definitely talk to his doctor before considering it again.
New and improved TSA checkpoints are coming soon to an airport near you. At the Ronald Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C., where there's a large-scale modernization taking effect. The TSA says 23 new screening lanes will be there, and they will include this state-of-the-art screening technology, which they say improves security and passenger experience. Terminal reconfigurations aim to alleviate gate area congestion.
With carry-on bag X-ray systems, we can see more inside the bag than we could ever see before based on new technology, which for a passenger means fewer things need to come out of the bag.
He adds that though their new advancement will significantly reduce the need for pat-downs as well, this is still a new technology. Well, they are one big family embracing Hispanic culture through the power of music tonight. How an all-female mariachi group is making an impact, coming up in about 10 minutes.
And we have the potential for a few frosty nights out there in a sunny and cooler pattern. A nice weekend ahead of us. We'll talk about our next chance of rain as well. It's all in the 9 on 9 forecast. Stay tuned.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Sophie Erber and Chief Meteorologist Scott Larson. This is KCAU 9 News at 5.
Forecast on Wednesday, and that's going to spark off a cooler pattern returning with highs in the lower 60s in the extended forecast. Well, we want to see more of your pictures. Make sure to keep on sending those in to weather@kcautv.com. When you do so, we'll send you a form to fill out. It's quick and easy to do. Just send it back and we'll show your pictures throughout the day on KCAU 9 News.
Yes, and like you've been saying, as the foliage changes, we'd love to get some of those. We really haven't shown too many on air.
No, you know, so far it really hasn't changed a whole lot. We still have a lot of greens out there, but of course we expect to see those changes occur soon.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Well, Hollywood's Captain Kirk blasted into space this morning. What actor William Shatner has to say about the experience, that's coming up in about 7 minutes here. But first, an all-female ensemble working to represent Hispanic culture. How one mariachi group is bringing music to life. Next. Welcome back. From history to delicious foods, Hispanic Heritage Month would not be the same without the beautiful sounds of music. Adam Cardona shows us how one mariachi ensemble is making an impact on their culture.
Mariachi Margaritas is an all-female mariachi ensemble, and it all started with a group of friends who were in college.
Director of Mariachi Margaritas, Karina Vela, says the all-female mariachi group launched in 2009.
Most mariachis were male-dominant, and we wanted to do something different. That culture, that the music, wearing the outfits, our mariachi traje, it's something that I actually learned to love here in the U.S.
The Mariachi Margaritas ensemble practices weekly and performs every weekend at events and venues, but it takes more than just practice for their success.
It has to start with respect. It has to start with friendship and respect, and I think that it has brought us this far because of how we respect each other as musicians.
Assistant Director Abigail Gonzalez has been with the group for almost 7 years playing guitar and singing.
As an all-female mariachi influencer, I would love that to encourage young girls to pursue something like this.
The group is made up of multiple female members, and they say they are one big family working together to put on the best performance possible.
We all put whatever benefits the group first. Like, we put ourselves second because the group comes first.
They all agree that being part of the group is a great experience and embracing culture is important.
Mariachi, more than anything, represents our culture, represents who we are as people. Mariachi music brings joy to anywhere we go.
Well, Star Trek's William Shatner set out for the final frontier today. You'll stay tuned for a recap of this historic mission he was on, coming up next. Another historic liftoff for Blue Origin is in the books. Actor William Shatner can add astronaut to his resume. At 90 years old, he's now the oldest man to travel to the edges of space. ABC's Morgan Norwood has a recap from Van Horn, Texas.
Blue Origin blasting off into space, once again making history. William Shatner, best known for his role as Captain Kirk in the original Star Trek.
We're beaming up.
Now the oldest person to travel to space. Shatner joining 3 other passengers, entrepreneurs Glenn DeVries, Chris Boscheisen, and Blue Origin's own Audrey Powers aboard the New Shepard rocket. The crew reflecting on their experience.
Everybody needs to see it's unbelievable.
The capsule lifting off into space, separating from the rocket, leaving the 4 space travelers weightless for 3 minutes. The crew taking in the incredible views through those giant windows. The passenger's capsule parachuting to the ground where the celebrations roared. Shatner's space adventures no longer fiction, but now a reality.
What you have given me is the most profound experience I can imagine.
So what's next for Captain Kirk? Shatner, who loves music and performing, says that he's writing new music inspired by everything that he saw in space. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Van Horn, Texas.
Historic day. We take a live look outside right now at a sunny sky over Cherokee. Don't go away though. Scott returns with one more check on your forecast. If you woke up today after the rain moved out, you really wouldn't know how turbulent a night we had. The pavement was a little bit wet, but wind really lingered across Siouxland today, Scott, and it kind of made it slightly unpleasant, even though it looks beautiful outside.
Right, we've had those sunny skies through the afternoon, Sophie, but it does feel cooler due to the presence of that strong breeze. We did have those thunderstorms happen earlier on this morning. Clear and cool weather is expected for tonight with a low temperature of 38 in Sioux City. The temperature is expected to tumble down further in parts of northeast Nebraska, where a frost advisory has been issued. Tomorrow it looks like it'll be a cool day with mostly sunny skies and a high temperature of 61 for the afternoon with a west-northwest wind between about 10 and 15 miles per hour, so it won't be quite as windy. Here's a look at the 9-on-9 forecast now. It shows that we will see our temperatures recover over the course of the weekend, following up some frost on Saturday morning. We should be up in the 70s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday before the arrival of some rain toward the middle of next week. And again, just another reminder, send in those pictures to weather@kcautv.com.
And also, if you wanted fall-like weather, your wish has been granted.
It's here. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have 50s and 60s for a little while at least.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you for joining us. We'll all see you tonight at 6. Until then, have a great night.